What is up, everybody? It is JT Sports. I'm back to you guys with another video. I want to talk about Washington. I believe that the Washington football team heading into the upcoming NFL season is a dark horse Super Bowl contender. Now, my definition of a dark horse Super Bowl contender is a team that has the talent to win a Super Bowl, but they just are in the back of everybody's minds. You know, they're not the popular pick like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Rams, the Browns, or the Chiefs, or the Bills. But I wouldn't be surprised if they made a run this year. You look at how good this defense is. This is probably going to end up being the best defense in the NFL this year. You improve your linebacker position, drafting Jamin Davis in the first round of this past year's NFL draft, which he was my favorite linebacker. He can run sideline to sideline. He's good in coverage. He's also a very good tackler. He has very long arms. He's rangy. Jamin Davis is going to have a pretty big impact this year for Washington as a rookie. They also have the best defensive line in the league. You got the Alabama Twin Towers and Payne, Jonathan Allen. Then you have pass rushers Montez Sweat, Chase Young. And Chase Young probably is going to be everybody's favorite to end up being a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year this year. And you look at what he did his rookie season last year in 2020, you can make the argument to say that Chase Young won 2 or 3 games for Washington last year. Now, I expect Chase Young to emerge as a top 5 defensive player this season. I think he's going to end up probably being around 12 or 13 sacks this year. And I have high expectations for this Washington defense. Now, I told everybody last year a big reason why I feel like Washington was going to surprise a lot of people was because Ron Rivera. I feel like Ron Rivera took the Washington job because he felt like he could win right away with Washington. Because one thing about Ron Rivera, if you remember him during his time in Carolina, he wants a team that is really good up front on the defensive line. Washington already had that, so you didn't really have to build up a defensive line because it's already there. You pretty much draft Chase Young, and you pretty much solidify you having the best defensive line in the league for at least the next 3-4 years, as long as everybody can stay on the team. Now, you look at the secondary, I like their corners. You got Landon Collins coming back, one of the best safeties when he was on the field. So Washington's defense is going to be really good this year. And Washington's defense, as a matter of fact, at times last year was their best offense. So for how good this defense was last year, I'm expecting this defense to be even better this year, which is scary. And Washington, to make the claim that they can be a dark horse Super Bowl contender, a large reason for me making this claim is that defense. I believe that this, without a doubt, is a championship caliber defense. And you definitely can go into the playoffs and have a great defense and have, an average offense and still compete for a Super Bowl. We've seen it time in and time out. So I look at this offense. I don't think this offense is bad. I think this offense definitely is better this year than what it was last year. Now, you have a quarterback competition between Taylor Heinicke and Ryan Fitzpatrick. Now, I expect for Ryan Fitzpatrick to win the starting job, but Heinicke had a really good playoff performance against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so I don't think Washington could go wrong with starting any of those guys, really, because Ryan Fitzpatrick, okay, we know what Ryan Fitzpatrick is. This is a guy who pretty much is magic, basically. You're going to get some pretty good performances from him. You're probably going to get like 3 or 4 breakout performances when you look at Ryan Fitzpatrick and you go, wow, man, this guy is incredible. Then you're also going to have a couple of games when you're just going to scratch your head and like, man, he's not bad, but, we could do better. Then you look at Taylor Heinicke. Many people believe that Taylor Heinicke probably could be the future quarterback for Washington. I think that is something to be decided, but I'm not against it. I definitely see it when you look at how well he played against Tampa Bay, a Buccaneers team that had a great defense, and he was pretty awesome. So you look at the skill position, that is one thing why I'm confident in Heineke or Fitzpatrick being a quarterback for Washington this year, because they have a better supporting cast this year than what they had last year. Pretty much all you had was Terry McLaurin and Logan Thomas. Logan Thomas was a pretty pleasant surprise this year. He came out of college as a quarterback for VT, then he switched his position to tight end, and it took him a while to make the transition. You know, he's been through a couple of teams, but I think he's finally found his place in Washington. He was really good last year. He was probably their third best player on offense behind Terry McLaurin and Antonio Gibson. Now, last year I told everybody that Terry McLaurin was going to end up being one of the best wide receivers in the league. That ended up coming true because Terry McLaurin, if we're looking at things from a statistical standpoint, was the best wide receiver during his rookie year. He also was the highest graded wide receiver by PFF, even though nobody really cares that much about what PFF has to say. But in my opinion, I felt like Terry McLaurin was poised for a breakout. And a lot of people didn't really know how good Terry McLaurin was. As a matter of fact, there's still about 80% of the NFL that doesn't know how good Terry McLaurin is. As a matter of fact, last year, during my fantasy football draft with my homeboys, me and my homeboys play every year. We've been playing since 9th grade. I drafted Terry McLaurin in the 4th round, and one of my boys said, JT, who is this no-name wide receiver? Like, you got a bunch of no-names on your team. And the assumption that I had a bunch of no names ends up coming to bite people in the butt, because I do, I cover the NFL, so of course I know guys who are going to end up breaking out and whatnot. So I was like, all right, you keep sleeping on this guy named Terry McLaurin. He was like, man, JT, who the F is Terry McLaurin? I was like, you're about to find out. Then come, week 8 before the trade deadline, he's trying to offer me up pretty much half his team to trade for Terry McLaurin. So Terry McLaurin, I think, is probably going to end up having 1,400 yards this year. I think he's going to end up becoming a household name if he isn't already. Then you bring in rookie Dommy Brown, who I really liked a lot, coming out of UNC. He could be really good. You got Curtis Samuel. He's re-linking up with Ron Rivera. He's probably going to end up being really good. So the wide receiver position definitely has improved. You also look at Logan Thomas this year. Then off the line. I think the off the line is a little bit iffy. I don't think it's going to be bad, but I don't think it's going to be all that great. But the off the line definitely did improve during the second half of last year's run. Then you got Antonio Gibson. I'm really hyped up for Antonio Gibson. On top of that, I will forever have Antonio Gibson and every video that I do about the Washington football team on my thumbnail, because the picture with him with the ice, that's sick. Like, I'm going to have Antonio Gibson on every single thumbnail I can when I talk about Washington, because he just makes the thumbnail lit with the ice in his mouth, with, the diamonds, what they call them, VVS's? I don't really know, but I like his grill. I think it's dope. And he also had a really good rookie year last year. As a matter of fact, I feel like he didn't really get enough props for how good of a rookie season he had, because he played for Washington. I think this year, if he can finally get the full workload, like last year, he didn't even get the full workload. Like, they kept doing this RB by committee. And when he finally got his opportunity due to injuries and whatnot, he kind of really took over. This year, I think he should be the RB1 right out the gate. And if he is, I think we could definitely see Antonio Gibson poised to have a Pro Bowl caliber year. So you look at Washington, they may not be the flashiest on offense, but again, Ron Rivera isn't looking for his offense to put up 30, 40 points a game like a Kansas City or a Tampa Bay. Ron Rivera wants to win games by his defense. He wants his games to be close, one possession games, and he wants to have his defense on the field with the opportunity to win those games for him. That's Ron Rivera's formula. All Ron Rivera really wants is for the offense to be sustainable. It doesn't have to be great, but it has to be, effective enough to move the ball and better than what it was last year. And then rely on the defense to do much of the heavy lifting. So you look at Ron Rivera's philosophy. I think this team has a lot of resemblance defensively to that 2015 Carolina Panthers team that lost to the Denver Broncos and the Super Bowl that year. Really good up front. You have a lot of good corners who can be physical with you. And on top of that, your linebacking group is really good as well. So for Ron Rivera, this defense reminds me a lot of Carolina's back in 2015, especially how good that defensive line is. I think Carolina back in 2015 had the best, if not one of the best defensive lines in the league that year. So I think Washington's a dark horse Super Bowl contender. And like I said, a dark horse Super Bowl contender isn't, the flashiest team that everybody picks. It's the team that you kind of have in the back of your head that, if they made it to the Super Bowl, you would be surprised because you knew they had talent, but at the same time, they weren't a pick that everybody was talking about. So let me know how you guys feel about Washington. Do you guys believe that Washington is a dark horse Super Bowl contender this season? Make sure that you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and college football videos, and thanks for watching.